it a big deal? Like, are people over exaggerating the fact that they're using the same location for the film, or are you agree with everybody, or mainly everybody else? Like, you know what, they should find somewhere else to film.
But I don't think if it's something you love, then you would be upset. I mean, you're probably not that upset because I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. Like, you know, I
like Harry Potter, but I mean, it's.
Okay, how would you feel if they used the DeLorean in the movie, the new Transformers movie?
Well, if they made a Transformer DeLorean, that'd be awesome.
I think if it was time traveling, then yeah, I would agree to that. But it's different from saying, is it the Back to the Future DeLorean or a DeLorean?
The Back to the Future one.
Well, it makes no sense because it's not from Universal.
Well, it makes no sense that they're at Hogwarts. There you
go.
Well,
they're not at Hogwarts. They're using the same.
They're using the same set. Yeah. Which I don't know. You know, growing up with Harry Potter, you know, you do have some kind of connection to that set and to the movies.
I mean, I
don't know. I'm like, if the filmmaker does his job right, you don't recognize that it's Hogwarts.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
you shouldn't.
You really shouldn't recognize that it's Hogwarts.
Coming up on UCF Nightly News, President Obama will be at UCF later today. We'll show you how UCF is preparing for his arrival.
Plus, controversial amendments are on the ballot this year. Find out what they really mean before you head out to vote.
And in sports, the Cubs face the Indians in their third game of the World Series tonight. Find out how these teams continue to make history.
Nightly News starts now.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Jenna Smith.
And I'm Keith Hellebrand. Today is October 28th, 2016.
President Barack Obama is campaigning for Hillary Clinton right here at UCF.
He is scheduled to stop by the CFE Arena later today to talk about the economy and what he thinks Clinton can do for Florida families.
Nightly News reporter Shelley Campbell is live outside the arena where people are already lining up. Shelley, how's it looking out there?
Hey, Jenna and Keith, I'm outside the CFE Arena right now where we are expecting a special guest later on this afternoon. President Barack Obama will be here on the UCF campus campaigning for Hillary Clinton. We found out how the university is preparing for his arrival. Here on campus, you might have noticed more traffic and people than usual. And the reason? President Barack Obama is speaking on campus this afternoon, and some students cannot wait.
This is everyone's home, and I think he really respects that. And the speeches that he gives, they're just incredible. So I would love to see that in person as well.
But with such an exciting occasion comes the need for tighter security on campus.
We will have multiple road closures around the arena. We will have garages that are full from people from off campus coming to visit. And we'll also have a lot of extra security, including uniformed personnel as well as undercover officers.
Officials say security for that event is a joint effort.
UCF PD works with our law enforcement partners and the Secret Service to kind of come up with the best practice for security protocol.
Some students even asked their teachers to give them class off so that they could see the president.
First of all, it's a great opportunity for them to see the President of the United States. Some of them couldn't believe that the President was actually coming to Central Florida and that they could actually go in and see him.
The first sitting president to speak at UCF was Richard Nixon in 1973.
We can be thankful. This is the first graduating class in 12 years that will graduate from college or university in a year in which the United States is not engaged in war in Vietnam.
Arena doors will open at 3 p.m. and President Obama is expected to start speaking at 5 p.m. Be sure to stay tuned into our Facebook and Twitter for updates throughout the event. Back to you, Jenna and Keith.
Thanks for the information, Shelley. As Shelley mentioned, garages G and F are closed. Here's a map from UCF officials of the closures in Garage G. You can see the area of the garage that will be blocked off for the event. Even if your car is not parked in the blocked off area, you will not be able to move your car due to the road closure. East Plaza and West Plaza drives are already closed in preparation. And Gemini Boulevard is also shut down between these roads. Roads and all-night study are set to reopen after the event around 9 p.m.
And on the campaign trail, Jennifer Lopez will be performing on behalf of Hillary Clinton's campaign in Miami tomorrow. John Bon Jovi will also be performing on behalf of Clinton's campaign. That performance will be in Tampa on November 5th. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is in Iowa today, and as for the third-party candidates, Jill Stein and Gary Johnson, they will not be stopping in Florida, but both candidates will be in Ohio tomorrow.
Early voting kicked off this week, and according to the State Division of Elections, more than 2 million Floridians have voted so far. Here at UCF, there are no early voting locations on campus. However, there are locations in Orange and Seminole County accepting early voting. For students needing transportation, next week SGA plans to provide shuttles to off-campus voting locations. If you want to vote on Election Day on campus, officials say you must have a UCF address.
2 constitutional amendments on the ballot this year are gaining a lot of attention. The language for those items can be wordy and hard to understand, though, so here's a breakdown. Energy advocates have criticized Amendment 1 as being misleading. The amendment states that individuals will have a right to install solar panels on their houses. Now, this is a right Floridians already have based on Florida statutes. Voting no would still allow individuals to produce their own solar energy, but voting yes could allow the state government to stop individuals from selling power and competing against utility companies.
Amendment 2 focuses on the use of medical marijuana in Florida. The wording on the ballot states that it allows the use of marijuana for individuals with medical conditions. But those conditions have to be certified by a licensed medical physician. It does not legalize marijuana for recreational use.
We are less than 2 weeks away from Election Day, and voter turnout amongst young voters could make a major impact in the election. Reporter Denise Jefferson takes a closer look at why some young people are choosing to head to the polls and others are not.
Are you voting in the 2016 election?
I am.
Why?
Because it is our civic duty to vote.
I am voting in this election because I feel like every vote does count, so might as well go out there and do something about it.
Despite consistently having the lowest election turnout, millennials this year say they are making their vote count. Audrey Widener from the Super PAC For Our Future says when young people vote, it sends a powerful message to lawmakers.
When young people go out to vote and turn out in large numbers, it shows them that they're a large part of their constituency that they have to be held responsible to.
From national security to the economy, students say they are concerned about the important issues. Students like Darren Owens realize what a big impact voting can have.
A lot of people like to complain, and yet they don't like to get involved. And the only way that we're going to change the things that we complain about is if we get involved, we get our voice heard, we raise awareness for the things that most affect us.
No matter what side you're on, there's one thing that's not up for debate. Millennials can impact the election. They make up 31% of the overall electorate, according to data from Pew Research Center. The only question left now is if they're going to let their vote make a difference. In Orlando, Denise Jefferson, UCF Nightly News.
Early voting has already started, and students who want to vote on Election Day will need a photo and signature ID.
New polls are giving us a look at how candidates are making headway in Florida. This survey by Bloomberg shows Donald Trump in the lead in a 4-way race. The Republican candidate taking 45% of the votes, Hillary Clinton with 43%, Gary Johnson with 4%, and Jill Stein with 2%. Bloomberg also focused on the Florida U.S. Senate race. It showed Marco Rubio with a strong 10-point lead over Patrick Murphy. Rubio just above the 50% mark, and Murphy with 41%.
With us here right now is Bryant with our first forecast update.
Thanks, Jenna. The transition to fall is taking some time, but the weather is looking pretty comfortable today. Let's take a look at your current conditions. Right now we're sitting at about 79 degrees with a humidity level of 65%. We've got some northeast winds coming in at about 15 miles per hour, and those winds could reach as high as 25 miles per hour. Later on, I'll have your 5-day forecast, and we'll take a look at our national weather.
Thanks, Bryant. Coming up, sports gambling among college students is more common than you may think.
Plus, some Orlando residents are turning their front lawn into farms. We'll tell you how the new trend is taking root in the City Beautiful.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month is coming to an end, but No Shave November is right around the corner. Every month is set to bring awareness to specific cancers, but we spoke with one survivor who says the awareness should never stop.
Some of the grandkids did too.
Lenore Hensley reflects on the tattoo her kids and grandkids got in her honor.
It's 13 years.
13 years since Lenore was diagnosed with breast cancer.
My first reaction was, this can't be happening. And then it went to anger, and then to fear.
A fear that stayed with her through 4 chemotherapy sessions and 30 days of radiation.
Just knowing that a poison is going through your body, it's very frightening.
But as soon as she was able, Lenore and her daughter Candace Hodge started giving back.
6 months after she was diagnosed was when we started, getting involved in cancer awareness organizations.
Organizations like Relay for Life that help spread awareness year-round.
It's not something that goes away, on Halloween. It continues forever, essentially, until we find a cure.
And Relay for Life community manager Fernando Carrasquillo agrees.
These kind of fundraising activities that we do with Relay for Life not only create awareness, but it also makes you feel grateful.
As for Lenore, she participates now to prove that a cancer diagnosis is not the end.
If you found out someone had cancer, you would whisper it. She has cancer. You didn't say it out loud because it was an automatic death sentence.
She, along with her family, continue to raise awareness to show everyone that there is always hope. The annual Making Strides Against Breast Cancer 5K will be tomorrow at Lake Eola. Registration will begin at 7 a.m. and the walk will begin at 9.
We're all used to seeing our front lawn neatly mowed and manicured, but a growing number of people see another use for that open space in front of their houses. They are turning their lawns into farms. Nightly News reporter Mona Howe shows us how this movement is taking root in Orlando.
I loved going out there and digging in the dirt.
Pastor Sarah Robinson has a passion for gardening, but when she moved to Florida, she didn't have the opportunity to get her hands dirty until...
When fleet farming came, I said, well, we can have our garden again. I can have a garden again.
Thanks to a group of volunteers led by Caroline Chimanix, part of Robinson's church lawn is now transformed into a farm. The new trend now taking root in Orlando is called fleet farming.
Fleet farming is a pedal-powered urban agriculture program that turns lawns into farms. And so we use the help of the community to grow fresh local produce.
The idea is to create a sustainable food system and bring fresh food closer to your home.
The typical American meal travels 1,500 miles from farm to table. With fleet farming, your food is right here in your front lawn.
They really care for it, and so I just get to reap all the good benefits of partnering with them.
Benefits that Jacques Worley, the coordinator at the UCF Arboretum, believes is essential to every community.
Reducing the carbon footprint, so less money or energy or resources is spent towards transporting the food.
And for Robinson, those benefits sprout the world she wants to live in.
I want to see a world where we are more connected to the earth, more connected to each other.
And fleet farming hopes to plant that seed in every community. In Orlando, Mona Howe, UCF Nightly News.
Fleet farming experts told us that currently there are 300 people in Orlando who are on the waiting list to turn their front yard into a farm.
Coming up, Bryant will have your 5-day forecast and what we can expect for the next few days.
Plus, Halloween is just days away. Find out how UCF got started with some activities to get students involved for the spookiest day of the year.
UCF knighted a new pumpkin carving champion in their 4th annual carving contest. Pumpkins lined the table as students came out to Pumpkin Palooza yesterday. Over 20 teams, each with 2 to 5 people, quickly went to work pulling out the seeds. Teams had 2.5 hours to create a unique masterpiece. The contest brought in all kinds of UCF-themed pumpkins, but the Black Cat team took the grand prize.
With Halloween celebrations happening all week, the UCF Police Department is taking action to protect the community. UCF PD and more than 10 local agencies will participate in a DUI enforcement wave. UCF is encouraging people to slow down, keep your eyes on the road, and avoid distractions. We met with Officer Stevens, who says UCF PD is always concerned with safety, and Halloween is no exception. He also says to expect extra enforcement, more officers in the area, and a focus on DUI driving and underage drinking.
Now let's go to Bryant, who has your national weather forecast and 5-day forecast. Bryant, we've had some beautiful weather lately. Is it going to stay with us for the weekend?
Thanks, Jenna. The weather is still looking pretty great outside, but let's take a look at our national weather map as well. As you can see, in the northwest, we've got quite a lot of thunderstorms and showers with a possibility of flash flooding in California. We're also looking in the northeast for some rain and snow, but in Florida, we're just pretty much getting a little bit of rain and thunderstorms in the south, but nothing too extreme at all. Let's take a look at our local weather conditions as well. As you can see, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Orlando are all looking at about 0% in rain chances, with Miami at 15% and Tampa at a very, very tiny 1% chance. When it comes to temperatures, all around, we're looking in the 70s, Tampa being the highest at 81 degrees, Tallahassee being the lowest at 76, and lovely Orlando staying at a comfortable 79 degrees. Pretty much that should be it for us now. Back to you, Keith and Jenna.
Thanks, Bryant. Coming up next, find out how one UCF basketball player is making headlines.
Plus, the UCF football team is preparing to pounce on the opportunity to progress in conference play. We'll have more from Coach on their plan of attack.
Hey Knights, I'm Nydia Diaz with your sports update. Tonight, the Cleveland Indians and Chicago Cubs take the field for the third game of the World Series. Both teams are tied, with the Indians winning the first game 6-0 and the Cubs took the second game 5-1. But tonight it is the first game at home for the Cubs, a team that last won the World Series in 1908. The 2016 World Series features the two Major League Baseball teams with the longest World Championship droughts. The last time Cleveland won the Classic was in 1948. So whatever happens in this year's Classic, history will be made. The Indians and Cubs will duke it out tonight at 8. With the World Series underway, sports gambling is in full effect. ncpgambling.org states 67% of college students bet on sports. Nightly news reporter Keith Hellebrand spoke with one UCF graduate about his experience with sports gambling.
Watching sports for some college students is more interesting than for others. That's because there is more on the line than a win or a loss. Christopher Sudo is a UCF graduate who says he bet on sports often while in school.
At UCF, at least once a week, there's always football or something every day, all year round.
There are different ways to bet on sports, but betting online is what Sudo prefers.
A couple offshore gambling websites, that way it's legal. There's FanDuel and DraftKings is very popular.
Chris Burns is a UCF social worker who says college students can develop a gambling addiction if they are not careful.
There could be students that are actually pulling money out of their loans for school to pay for a gambling addiction, right? And so again, you're not going to hear about that until it really, kind of hits the fan.
As for Sudo, sports betting is not seen as an issue.
I would say it's a healthy addiction. I have thought about it because I know a lot of people have issues, but I'm very responsible with money.
Although baseball is not bet on as much as football or basketball, the World Series is a major event to gamble on.
I have multiple bets in the World Series on individual players to win the MVP I'm hoping for.
Sudo says he only bets with friends and on legal gambling websites. In Orlando, Keith Hellebrand, UCF Nightly News.
UCF offers counseling and group therapy sessions to students who may have a problem gambling. You can visit the Collegiate Recovery Community at the Counseling Building on Libra Drive. The Knights are getting ready to pounce on the Cougars this Saturday night in Houston. UCF's football team is looking to move to 3-1 in conference play. Houston, on the other hand, has lost 2 of their last 3 conference games, ending their chance of a national championship. With 3 straight road wins, UCF's head coach hopes to keep the momentum going.
We expect to have a focused, upset Houston team when we go down there Saturday. They're still a really, really talented team, so we're going to have our hands full.
Frost says he's impressed with the improvement of his team. He thinks the Knights are finally playing to win games instead of playing not to lose them. UCF's women's basketball season is right around the corner, and one player is already making headlines.
Zykira Lewis is excited for her last basketball season, but she wasn't always a fan of the sport.
Well, it was when I was 11 years old. I played for this little recreational center, and my uncle made me play. I didn't want to play.
Although the passion wasn't there from the start, Coach Abe says Lewis's talent is undeniable.
She's a great teammate. I mean, she's pretty unselfish. I have to kind of make her shoot the ball, which is shocking.
American Athletic Conference officials named Lewis into the preseason second team, meaning she's a player to watch.
That means this year that she's one of the top players in the conference, and this conference is really good, so it's a great honor.
An honor she appreciates, but is more focused on living up to.
It's an honor. I'm thankful for it, but to me, honestly, it doesn't mean anything to me, because by the end of the season, I cannot be on it or I can be above it. So it's just all about what I do during the season.
Lewis is working on her consistency for this upcoming season and hopes her final year is one to remember.
The women's basketball team is preparing for a scrimmage this Saturday, but their first home game of the season is on November 13 against the South Alabama Jaguars. That's all the time we have for sports. Back to you, Keith.
Thanks, Nydia. On November 2nd, Crew Call Productions will host United Hope for Disaster Relief Telethon. a 2-hour telethon dedicated to raising money for both Haiti and Cuba from the effects of Hurricane Matthew. A telethon is a televised fundraising event that allows the public to call in and donate. For more information and updates on the event, like United Hope on Facebook.
Well, we have Bryant back with us, and this is a busy weekend with Halloween, and I know my parents' anniversary is on Halloween, so what can we all expect?
Well, it looks like it will be sunny the rest of the weekend, so it might be nice to spend your weekend outside. It's going to be mid-80s, dropping to the 60s at night.
That's our time for right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website, nightlynews.ucf.edu.
And if you've got a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. You can reach us at nightlynewsucf@gmail.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
Start your phone.